Welcome to BitBoy Crypto. My name is Ben. Tonight, we're going to be talking about SBF and what could turn out to be a gigantic conspiracy of epic proportions. Not sure what we can make about this yet, but there is definitely some stuff going on here that should be making us question really what was going on with Sam Bankman-Fried, FTX, and political donations. So here's the thing. I'm at the Braves game tonight. Shout out, home opener, playing the Padres. Here with the family, excited. But the thing I'm the most excited about right now is just all the different crimes that Sam Bankman-Fried is charged with. And there may be more coming because he's going to prison. I told you guys a long time ago that he won't get a total deal. He's going to end up doing some time, I think probably around 10 years. And when we look at what is going on with these conspiracies around the political donations, is very fascinating. So, as you guys know, around the last election cycle, the president or the last midterm elections, SBF spent around $37 million in political donations. That was mostly to Democrats, but some Republicans as well. Now, he donated in 2020 $5 million to Joe Biden, making him Joe Biden's second largest contributor. Now, that's very key here in a few. He also spent around $40 million total, of course, like I said, on the midterm elections. But what's really interesting is that he had a $27 million super PAC called Protect Our Future. Now, I don't know if you noticed what he would do with, like effective altruism, which he didn't found, but effective altruism, the pandemic, stop the pandemic nonprofit he had or he donated to. That was literally just a funnel for political donations. It didn't do anything with the pandemic. All it did was funnel money to politicians and hope that they would somehow help prepare for another pandemic. I bet they are preparing for one. But you also have this, where this pack is called Protect Our Future. These are just the most generic sounding names of stuff. They're not even hiding really. None of these organizations do anything. $10.5 million of that $27 million super PAC went to Carrick Flynn. Now, this is a guy that ran for a House seat in Oregon's 6th Congressional District. You don't know who he is because he didn't win. In fact, he didn't even win his primary. But what's fascinating was SBF spent twice the amount of money on donating to Carrick Flynn, a rookie politician with no experience from Oregon, than he spent on Joe Biden. Gave Joe Biden $5 million. Gave Carrick Flynn $10 million. Something's not right here. Funny part, though, like I said earlier, is Flynn lost. He didn't even win the seat. He didn't even win the primary. Didn't even make it to the election. He lost to Andrea Salinas. She doubled him up in votes. So $10 million for a House seat wasn't enough to even get SBF, SBF's candidate Carrick Flynn to the actual election. That's really, really, really strange. And it wasn't even close. So it goes to show you can't necessarily buy power, but the question is, was buying power really what they were trying to do? And if they weren't doing that, what were they doing? We're going to lay some interesting scenarios out for you. According to Carrick Flynn, he never met SBF, but Flynn did meet SBF's brother, Gabe, who also runs a scam, nonprofit funneling money to politicians. SBF and Carrick Flynn, they tended to have kind of some similar, both maybe quirky, ran the same kind of circles and stuff like that, but they never met each other. Very strange. But one thing they had in common, they were both in the group Effective Altruism, which if you didn't know, like almost all of the main players from the FTX scandal came from Effective Altruism. So the idea, though, was that maybe this was the idea. If they could get Carrick Flynn, if they could get him elected, he could help them push a bill. Kind of presumptuous to give $10 million to this guy. Now, I also want to point this out. The donations were not made in Sam's name. They found another name they were made in. Sam had surrogates all across the United States donating to politicians, not just Republicans, like he said. He said, oh, well, I didn't want everybody to know I was donating to Republicans too. Well, yeah, Kerry Flynn's a Democrat, and you still had to use a different name. And you used a person, you gave the money, like I said, to somebody that was in effective altruism with you, but you did it through another party. It's very, very, very strange. The amount of these donations are very interesting because they were $2,500. A lot of them were $2,500 a pop. Some were even less than that. They're breaking down these transactions into small amounts to hide their tracks, because a $2,500 donation doesn't really cause a lot of red flags, but a $10 million one would. So is it possible that this was just Sam trying to buy more power? I think that's very unlikely in this scenario. I think it's very unlikely. He has a pre-existing relationship with Sam, even if he hasn't met him, with Sam through effective altruism. They're in the same networking group, you could probably say. So here's what looks like it could be developing. Because we're using Kerry Flynn because this is the guy that's making the headlines right now. But in reality, there's more to it than just him. There are plenty of other politicians that they've discovered were receiving funds and donations from surrogates of FTX. This is just the first one that we've really uncovered at this point. And shout out to ZK Snarf and Samurai on Twitter. They're the people who started busting the story wide open. And we may cover it again on the live stream. We may cover it in a longer video where I can show you the numbers and show you the stuff, because it really is outrageous. But you guys need to know about what this could turn into. Could it be? Because a lot of people have told me, they said, well, they had all this money, FTX did, and it's gone, and Alameda was cheating and couldn't get liquidated. How did they lose the money? Many people have suggested they did lose the money. They hid the money. And the money still exists, safe and secure, for more political donations and other assets and around the world. So, could it be possible that what was really going on here is that a network of people, FTX at the head of this, it includes politicians, it includes donors, it includes nonprofits, it includes a lot of different entities here. They break these transactions into smaller amounts. That's what money laundering is. So it's undetected, doesn't raise flags. And they just sent it to all these politicians that lost and were always going to lose. Because after the money comes in, they don't have to track where it goes. Unless there's supposed wrongdoing. Now, in this case, if this gets dug into, maybe we'll find out. But could it be that these political donations were literally money laundering? They were literally, potentially money laundering money through political donations, because once it gets off FTX and Sam's hands, it's gone. Unless the people you're donating to are also working with you and helping you figure out how to recollect the money on the back end. And to me, that is what the most likely answer is to this. Has all the hallmarks of money laundering. And let me tell you this. If it's proven that SBF was money laundering through our government, this 10-year sentence may go up to 25 to life, because this is very serious. And most of the political donations he made, if you think about it, they weren't actually buying him power if he was doing it in this way. He was just getting the money back on the back end. He wasn't buying power. Nobody there owes him favors. Kerry Flynn lost. He can't help him. So very fascinating to see how all this plays out. I'm going to go check the Braves. We're going to win. That's all I got. Recorded half the audiobook today. So excited about that. Finish that up tomorrow. Be blessed. Big boy out.